Ulster to shade this tonight?
Yeah, I do. They have a good chance, again, it's just that consistency of performance, Stephen, that's what we're looking for, and if Ulster continue in the vein that they've been in recent weeks, there's no reason why they can't win this. OK,
thank you, Tony. Thank you, Bryn. Leinster are certainly a tough nut to crack in Dublin. Their only defeat to an Irish province in the last 5.5 years was to Ulster in this fixture last season. Let's see how things unfold tonight. Our commentary team is Reggie Corrigan and Jim Neely.
It's a cold night here. Robbie Jack leads the Ulster side for the third time this season. Internationals Roger Wilson, Dan Toohey and Declan Fitzpatrick back, as is hooker Rob Herring. Behind the scrum, well, 6 out of 7 players are internationals. Back come the two marshals, Paddy Jackson, Darren Cave and Andrew Trimble. But Marshall, having had a couple of weeks break, looking forward to this, and in partnership yet again with Darren Cave. But the colour here tonight of the RDS is predominantly blue. And the man who's tipped to be a future Leinster coach, the only player to have looked at the Heineken Cup on 3 occasions, and that's for his beloved Leinster. Leo Cullen is going to lead this Leinster side out. Not very often they come into a game having lost twice in a row. International requirements have left Leinster bereft of more than a handful of household names. No O'Driscoll, no Darcy, no Rob Carney, no Jamie Heaslip, no Cian Healy. But it is not a bad Leinster side. Mike McCarthy, Sean O'Brien and Rhys Ruddock come back late change, in that Jack O'Connell comes into the front row for the injured Michael Bent. And once again, Leo Cullen is the skipper. A number of changes behind the Leinster scrum. Dave Carney, Brendan Mackin, Jimmy Gofforth, all come in. And on the replacements, well, 3 internationals on both panels for Ulster. There's Tom Court. Ruan Pienaar is in there as well. And there's the referee, John Lacey, former Munster wing 3/4, officiating in his 32nd league game. The man who did the final last May, Paddy Jackson. That's an early spell by Leinster. Referee is just playing some advantage there to Ulster. Paul Marshall, Robbie Dyack, Ulster skipper. Leinster have slowed that down, and they've slowed it down illegally. And John Lacey has given the first penalty, and it's gone against, I think, Reggie, Jordy Murphy.
Yeah, and a great opportunity here for Ulster to get some points on the board early doors. Very important for Ulster to start well in this game. Just scanning across both sets of teams, certainly in the pack you'd have to look and think that there may be areas that Ulster will want to target there. Certainly Declan Fitzpatrick going in against the relatively inexperienced Jack O'Connell. That should be an interesting tussle in the scrum, and that could be a key area as well. But I think from an Ulster point of view, they've got to try and dominate in the forwards, and certainly there's a dangerous backline outside of that then if they can get some good early possession.
Well, early points absolutely of paramount importance, and with just a minute gone, here's Paddy Jackson for Ulster. He's got underneath that. It's all about the accuracy. Oh, and he's spot on. That's a very good kick under tricky enough conditions by Paddy Jackson. So just over a minute gone, and Ulster into a 3-point lead, and what a confidence boost, Reggie, that'll be for them.
Yeah, exactly the start they would have wanted, and a beautifully struck kick from Paddy Jackson. There is a bit of a swirling wind going around the RDS this evening, a little bit deceiving. Those kicks are a lot more difficult than they might appear, and he struck it beautifully, and it had some distance to spare as well.
Jimmy Gopperth taken in by Craig Gilroy, who got well and truly thumped for his pains. Paul Marshall has to scamper to get to the base of that ruck. Jackson, Roger Wilson, having missed the game against the Zebra last week,
hands away now, hands away.
His favoured number 8 position, which was occupied last week by Robbie Dyack, and that's Paul Marshall, and he's hooked that quite nicely, but it stayed in field. Here comes the transgressor, Jordy Murphy, slips the tackle of Sean Doyle. Isaac Boss, very familiar to Ulster fans. Good strong driving run by Leinster's inside centre, Noel Reid. Instant response from the Pro 12 champions, taken on by Former Connacht stalwart Mike McCarthy. Good tackle by Declan Fitzpatrick. Leinster cried already in full voice. Dave Carney got a brace of tries on his Irish international debut, and having scored from a penalty, Ulster have now given away a penalty and have given Leinster the chance to get things back on level keel. Might well have been Darren Cave in the middle of all of that.
Yeah, and the referee just evening things up there, just showing that he's going to be very particular around the breakdown, making sure that there aren't players sealing off, and also that players, once the tackle has been completed, that they're getting away. You can just see there that, you know, it's a little bit harsh. The player is trying to get away from the ball, but it's enough to just slow the quick ball that Leinster down want, and John Lacey's not tolerating any of that this evening and making sure we're going to have what should be quite a fast game if the tempo so far is anything to read by.
Well, what a signing this fellow has been for Leinster. 30 years of age, from New Plymouth in New Zealand, Jimmy Gopperth. Been around the block a time or two. Matt O'Connor just whispering instructions, which I don't think will be disappearing up into the ether. Somebody will be picking up on those. Gopperth with 66 league points this season. Is this going to be 67, 8 and 9? It certainly is. So we're back in level pegging. And I'll tell you something, Reggie, it was very difficult to get a bet on either side. It was a pretty even game with the bookmakers, and I think that's how it's going to pan out.
I don't expect there to be anything more than 3 to 5 points in this game at the end of it. Certainly two quality sides here, and they're quite evenly matched. And it's probably just going to be a case of who makes the least mistakes and can just manage to continue to hold on to that ball and make some inroads from there.
Dave Carney, as ever, showing oodles of aggression. That's Isaac Boss. What a clever kick that is. Ricky Andrew underneath. Comes back in the Leinster side. That's a bit on the scruffy side. Scooped up nicely. There's a chance of an overlap here. This is Mackin. Gets it to Luke Fitzgerald, who scored a try or two from this position against Ulster. Oh, what was Marshall doing? He stood off, and he's given it to Mackin. Leinster only 10 metres away. In goes Fitzgerald. Referee says play on. Ulster doing their best to pinch it, but they haven't. Boss, Reid, Jordy Murphy. Ulster's defence really been tested, and it was Luke Fitzgerald who started the whole thing. Well, what great aggression by Leinster. Reid again. Good covering by Rob Herring. Wonderful passage of play. Moore, this promising young tight head prop, gets it away. O'Brien leaves it. Boss. And again they make ground. That was Ruddock. Boss again. Leo Cullen, the redoubtable Leinster skipper. What a tackle by Wilson and by Toohey. But Ulster have conceded the penalty. And it's in one of those positions where a kick into the corner might be the opposite thing to do. What a passage of play, and what a bit of clever play by Luke Fitzgerald.
Yeah, his form of late has just been fantastic, and again he just spotted the opportunity to put the ball in behind. Clever little grubber kick, beautifully weighted. It should have been dealt with better though. I think Marshall was coming across. He had plenty of opportunity to get down on the ball. On replay we can just see that, you know, that's a clever kick. He keeps it in play and he asks questions of the defenders, but you know, just at the last minute I think Marshall just had the opportunity to dive in the ball and he stopped, and you've really got to just get possession back in those situations. Leinster continued to keep possession, good quick ball, and now there's another opportunity for them to go into the lead here with a penalty.
I think to be fair to Marshall, he sort of half checked and the ball sat up, so it probably overemphasized the fact that Marshall maybe just didn't get to it, so we're doing him a slight injustice. However,
rugby balls tend to do that, Jim.
Well, the laws of physics and the shape of a rugby ball dictates that you have no idea where it's going to go. Now, from a Leinster perspective, will it go between the Ulster posts for the second time this evening? And he's missed that one. Well, that's a bit of a let-off for Ulster. But I have to say, apart from the opening exchange when Ulster got the penalty, Leinster have produced a level of intensity that's going to be tough for Ulster to compete with.
Well, that's always going to be the case here in the RDS. I mean, last year Ulster came down with real intent, and they were the ones taking the game to Leinster, and they've got to get that back into their game. They started well. They got that penalty from a knock-on and then from a sealing off at the ruck. But again, they just need to kind of get that level of intensity. At the moment, Leinster seem to be the ones who are just looking to get on the ball quicker all of the time.
Ricky Andrew managed to knock it backward. Robbie Dyack seemed to have secured it for Ulster, but the referee has decided that there was an Ulster hand, knocked it forward, and we're going to have the first scrum of the evening after 7.5 minutes, and it's going the way of Leinster. Wee bit of a breeze. Ricky Andrew, socks down round the ankles, did well, just dislodged, and Ulster really should have made that safe because the ball went behind him, and Sean Doyle hesitated, maybe thought he might have been in front of the man who touched the ball, and if he touched it he would have been offside, but that wasn't the case.
They did actually get possession back, Jim. Then somebody within the pack then knocked it on.
Isaac Boss, who played 108 games for Ulster, scoring 14 tries and a very productive 5-year spell at Ravenhill. Huge favourite, not just with the crowd, but with Ulster fans and Ulster rugby folk in general. Here is Boss. Kirshner, Gopperth into Marshall. Good strong drive by Gopperth. Boss digs it out. Wilson couldn't quite get to him. Here's O'Brien. Good tackle by Tui. Ulster trying to hold Leinster's Lions forward off the ground. Leo Cullen, his partner in crime, Mike McCarthy. Great grafters, reminds me so much of Mick O'Driscoll from Munster. Noel Reid trying to carve a way through. He is showing great strength this evening. Here comes Boss. Cullen, great tackling by Sean Doyle. Leinster recycled. Boss thinks about it, having a little go himself. It's all Leinster at the moment, and Ulster simply haven't had their paws on the ball.
Release White!
Leinster just being patient. Jordy Murphy, again some terrific tackling by the men in white. Gopperth looking for a little bit of width. Rhys Ruddock has done well. Referee says that's fine. Good anticipation by the abrasive Dan Tui. Still, it's Leinster's ball. Murphy deputising at number 8 for Jamie Heaslip. Sean O'Brien. Callum Black puts the tackle in, and he had to. Boss, better stuff. Nice bit of width on it now. This is Mackin, who's very quick. Again, Ulster's defence is pretty decent. Crowd claiming that an Ulster man wasn't making enough of an effort to get out of the way, but the referee was happy. Gopperth, sweet little offload.
Off feet, one.
Boss again. Sean O'Brien stuck on the 22. Boss in like a back row forward, and that's very good defending by Ulster.
They did well, yeah. Tui anticipated again there. Good speed coming off the line. Good decision to get in on Sean O'Brien. Just managed to get an arm in there and dislodge the ball as O'Brien was going forward. But at the moment, it's looking pretty ominous for Ulster. The level of intensity from the Leinster forwards as they go into the breakdown, they're only having to commit at most 3 forwards to clear away those rucks, which means they've got ample support players for the backs when they're running around those corners. And Ulster really need to find a way to slow the ball down at the breakdown, or they're going to be in trouble, because the speed of this Leinster backline will eventually catch them out if they go through phase after phase.
Well, this is the oldest fixture in the Irish interprovincial calendar. They've been knocking lumps out of each other since the year of the foundation of the IRF, way back about 1875, 1876, and nothing changes. Reg, you played in a lot of these games, didn't you?
Yeah, and it's it's one of the ones of the year that you always look forward to, because you always had this fixture around the Christmas time, and whether it be at home or up in Ravenhill, you were always guaranteed of a good reception. And as we said, a bit of a ding-dong game.
Well, some good work there by Brendan Mackin, but again an example of how solid thus far the Ulster defence has been, and that defence has earned them a scrummage. Coming up to 11 minutes played, honours even, but in terms of possession and territory, it's been all blue. Declan Fitzpatrick, who missed last week's game because of a little viral infection, up against a man he didn't expect to be up against. Jack O'Connell came in very short notice for Michael Bent, the Irish international, who's cried off. Jack McGrath has been catapulted onto the bench. John Afoa enjoying the festivities of the holidays back in his native New Zealand. Good solid Ulster scrum on their own put in. That's a very good Ulster scrum. Marshall, it's a dreadful pass.
Stop, 7.
Ulster managed just to get away with it now. That went backward, I think it did. Good work by Kushner. Boss in quickly, but Ulster slowed it down. Referee has said it was nudged forward by Leinster. Well, I tell you, Ulster just about got that one away, didn't they?
They did, yeah. I mean, it was a little bit overzealous from Marshall. He was looking to get really quick ball away to Jackson, and he just overcooked it completely. And Jackson dealt with it brilliantly, one-handed back behind his head, got it down, and got a good kick away as well under pressure. You just seen it on the replay there. He just had to check and go back, reach for it. And it was a great kick, really, considering the pressure that he was under at the time. And Carney just got a hand to it. Slight hint of it going forward when Carney touched it, but the referee let it play on. And now Ulster in a good position as well on the halfway line. Solid scrum.
Jackson playing his 52nd game for Ulster. On the far side of the Ulster front row, wearing number 1 is Callum Black, who tonight wins his 50th cap for his province. Marshall disrupted. Make up your mind time for Ulster. Jackson again has done well. That's good covering by Kushner. The referee says that's fine, you may take the kick. And he does take the kick, and what a kick it is. Gathered in by Gilroy. Gets it to Paddy Jackson, who has a glance. Looking for a wee bit of space, and there's no space really there. And again, it's a short-haired Kushner. Ricky Andrew. Andrew Trimble, first touch of the ball for him. Not a bad kick at all, and again, that's well taken, and again the hand goes up. And in the old days you used to have to dig your heel into the ground, Reggie, and shout "mark" at the top of your voice. You're probably too young even to remember that.
Oh, many a mark, James. I was always back there feeling marks, yeah.
I remember you were one of those versatile prop forwards who really wanted to play an inside and outside centre. Kirshner, we sliced that one. Well taken by Dyack, Ulster's captain. Paddy Jackson. Gilroy. Blue wall in the middle of there. Gathered in by Boss. This could be dangerous. That's a good sidestep. Once again, Ulster's defence being stretched, but they've given the ball away far too cheaply, one thinks.
7.
Here come Leinster again. Back inside the Ulster half. Roger Wilson getting in there quickly, but Leinster getting across that gain line. Gopperth. Kirshner's come into the line. Nice little dummy by the Springbok. Good tackle by his opposite number, Ricky Andrew. Laid back nicely. But Andrew Trimble stray offside. Aaron Dundon, the New Zealander. Another New Zealander, Boss. Here's Ruddock.
Move on!
Well, Ulster given away a penalty, and it probably had to come.
Yeah, Declan Fitzpatrick there just coming in, and the ball hadn't quite come out, and he got on to Boss straight away, and from an offside position. Penalty given straight away. Just again watching the Ulster forwards as they're trying to track back and get into the defensive line, they just seem to be struggling with the pace of this game a little bit. There's no breaks in it whatsoever. Every single ruck is being delivered at lightning fast pace. The ball is being moved away from the base. We saw Gopperth with a brilliant turn of pace there, coming through from inside his own half, and you just wonder about you know the mindset somewhat of the Ulster players. Are they really up to the level that they need to be at and the intensity that they need to be at for this game? Because certainly at the moment Leinster seems to be the side in ascendancy and playing it at a much faster pace.
Well, the winner of this game goes from in Ulster's case 4th, or Leinster's case 5th, up into 2nd place behind Munster, who are romping on thanks to a hard-fought, literally hard-fought win last night against Connacht, having landed his first and missed with his second. Here we are, some 16 minutes of the first half gone, and it's Gopperth to give the champions of last year the lead for the first time in this game. Ball almost horizontal on this little tee. He stuck that, and again it's drifted away. So 1 out of 3 for Jimmy Gopperth, which is very un-Jimmy like that.
Most unusual. He came over here to Leinster having won the Golden Boot last year. He's been kicking phenomenally for the province so far since his joining, and I'm very surprised to see both of those. They both seem to go off the outside of his boot and spiral away to the right, so no doubt he'll be correcting that as the game goes on.
Jackson hasn't quite found the space, found Dave Carney. He finds Gopperth. Now, there is a bit of wind which is holding that up. Well up by Ricky Andrew. He knocked it backward, but it's come back on the Leinster side. Isaac Boss. Here is Gopperth. They miss out Murphy. There's O'Brien, the danger man. Brendan Mackin Well tackled by Luke Marshall. Bossed yet again, Leo Cullen. Good work by Jordy Murphy. Boss again, Gopperth. This is out Moore. Mike McCarthy bullocking forward. O'Brien, sweetly done. Ulster thinking about the intercept. Gopperth, what a good tackle that was by Craig Gilroy. But here come Leinster again. Dave Carney, like brother Rob, a fully fledged Irish international. Tui in the face of the Leinster man with the ball. Great work by Tui, who's really put himself about. Referee just watching to see if the Ulster backed it, encroached offside. Well, what a period of aggression by this Leinster forward pack. Across the 22, Declan Fitzpatrick taken out of it this time. Ball has gone loose. Boss couldn't get it away. And Ulster earned the penalty.
Where you go? Hope you get 9. What's your language, 9, please?
Against
6
Isaac
on his
Boss.
feet.
Yeah, no, it was a good piece of poaching work there. I mean, Leinster, the intensity, as you said, was there. They're picking and driving, and they're making 2-3 metres every single time, which they shouldn't be doing. That ball just went slightly forward. Boss had no choice but to go down and try and protect the ball. Then I think it was Robbie Dyack who might have come in then and gotten his hands on it, on his feet in a perfectly legal position. A referee was left with no choice but to give the penalty for holding on against Isaac Boss. But again, I'd have to say, just watching the Leinster side, the level of intensity, they're making 3 metres every single time from a pick and drive. They shouldn't be making any more than 1 if the defensive line is properly organised in around those fringes. Ulster, again, Leinster are creating mismatches. There's a lot of big forwards in the midfield area, and with the pacey backs, they're recognising this and they're stepping around them. So again, they need to organise that defence.
Ulster lose the line out. A bit of miscommunication there, it would seem. This is Reid, steps inside Jackson. He's left the Ulster midfield for dead. He needs a little bit of help. He's got it from O'Brien. Good transfer by O'Brien to Gopperth. Here come Leinster looking for the first try of this game. Boss. Ulster need to get men out wide if they can. McCarthy. In fact, it's Rhys Ruddock. Well set up by the Leinster tight forward. Boss. Little show by Gopperth. Runs into Robbie Dyack and Darren Cave. Now Boss. He really has been taking his old side on tonight. Here comes Leo Cullen, oldest man in the park at 35. Doesn't play like it though. Declan Fitzpatrick again getting himself on the wrong side. Boss has to hold on. Quite sensible by Boss, because if he passed that, I think that ball might have been picked off by Ulster. Leinster still exerting all the pressure on this Ulster side that has to defend as if their lives depended upon it. Dave Carney goes in. Boss looking for a runner. No better man than Sean O'Brien. Quick release. Tui has to get out of it. This is Mike McCarthy. Darren Cave trying to stay on his feet. Roger Wilson likewise. Well, good disruption there by Ulster. And although Leinster, I think, still might have it, it's slower ball. Ruddock caught again. This time Callum Black does the tackling. And Leinster give away the penalty, and again an extraordinary piece of Ulster defending.
Fantastic defending from Ulster, but you know, prior to that, again, we saw Reid just carving through far too easy by stepping back inside Paddy Jackson. There was no defensive cover there. He made 30-40 metres. It could easily have turned into a try. Ulster seemed to get their urgency and their intensity up. We're seeing it again in the replay. One step inside, no cover defence. Jackson was left with an inside shoulder, wide open and exposed. There was no back row defenders coming across, and that's just too easy at this level. It seems to be that once they get to 5 metres from their own line, the Ulster intensity lifts. They put their bodies on the line, they get in and they turn it over and they win the penalty. They need that intensity further out the field. At the moment it must be 70-80% possession to Leinster.
21 minutes gone. Leinster 3 and Ulster 3. Too much change sides from the final last May. Leinster fielding only 2 of the men that started, and Ulster only 4. Rob Herring didn't look altogether straight, but the referee seems to be content.
That's 1-9.
Robbie Dyack with the ball in there. Paul Marshall will have to make up their mind. I think Darren Cave was offside, and Marshall, has he kicked that directly into touch? No, he hasn't. That's a good challenge by Ulster, and it's gone into touch, and it's going to be a Leinster ball. And a bit of a strong breeze, which is favouring Ulster at the moment. but they haven't had enough possession to utilise that, and that's their problem. And one of their many problems, to be honest.
Well, that's the point, Jim. If you think about it, they've had 2 scrums, they had 1 line-out which didn't find the man, and everything else they've had to do is defend. They've gotten a penalty off a restart from a knock-on and then the subsequent foul afterwards. So in terms of possession, we haven't seen the Ulster backline have any opportunity to attack because they simply haven't had it.
Referee having a little word with Messrs. Toohey and McCarthy just to calm things down a little bit. McCarthy won that one. Gopperth. Murphy gets right through. This time Ulster's first up defence was not good. Boss. Leinster on the front foot yet again. Here comes Carney off his right wing. Against Andrew Trimble. Great tackle by Roger Wilson, and he gets out of the way. Boss, Gopperth, quickly recycled ball. Sean O'Brien, I should say. Kevin O'Brien played for Ireland way back in the 1980s. Here's Isaac Boss, gets away from Lewis Stevenson, just. They need a scrum half, and they've given away a penalty, Ulster.
Slowing ball. Okay, we're having a time off now, okay?
Yeah, I think it's just for going off his feet just as he came in and over the ball. Seems to be talking to Robbie Dyke, explaining to him now that the Ulster player, as he came in, he just went straight off his feet to slow the ball down and essentially seal it off on the incorrect side. But to that point, they had their defensive line organised quite well. But again, just too simple. I mean, the players were there, the numbers were there, and we just saw Jordy Murphy, I think it was, get a pop pass into the centre area and just goes through a defensive line as if nobody wanted to make the tackle on him. And it's just not acceptable, because with a team like Leinster, they will punish you for that kind of error.
Lewis Stevenson, who may well have given away the penalty, has got a little bit of trouble with the contact lens, normally the preserve of Tom Court, who's on the bench, and if he does come on, it'll be Tom Court's 100th league appearance. Referee just coming over to see what the problem is, and there's not really a problem apart from getting that little piece of soft glass in. And Ulster, I think, will be glad of the break here. That was where the penalty was given away, and good driving forward by Leinster. And they've always kept possession nicely.
Yeah, they're just showing some replays there of how easily, really, Leinster are managing to get over the gain line with one player picking and driving and then one player in support. And that's certainly something that Ulster have got to slow down to stop Leinster having such quick ball.
Leinster's line out, Aaron Dundon. Good take at the back by Leinster. Trying to get a bit of a drive on. Ulster having enough men, trying to take on this very destructive looking Leinster driving maul, and they're still hanging on to it. O'Brien is just hanging on by his fingertips, but that's illegal. Roger Wilson nearly guilty of bringing the thing down illegally. And again, Ulster having to defend. Doyle is in there, but it's back in Leinster's side. Here comes Dave Carney. Great tackle by Darren Cave. Luke Marshall did very well there. Andrew Trimble does even better, nearly gets away. Great piece of play there by Darren Cave, who took his weight on his feet, and he was quite legal. Marshall needs to hurry. Oh, he's got him charged down. Not for the first time. Referee's decided, was that a knock forward? And he has decided it was a knock forward. No, it's a line out, I beg your pardon.
No, it's a charge down by Luke Fitzgerald. And again, like I said, the man is just on fire at the moment. And I even saw him clearing out rucks earlier on his own. One player coming in, clearing out a ruck, creating the fast ball. So he was there on the fringe waiting for that. Always a danger there. Marshall was lucky that went out into touch. If it was a straight block charge down and had it bounced behind him, Fitzgerald would have been on it like a light, and it would have been a try under the sticks.
Well, Robbie Dyack having a word with his forward pack. I think there might be a little a blood replacement coming on. It looks as if Martin Moore, only 22 years of age, hugely rated, is going off. I think to get some running repairs. And Mike Ross is coming on, and pretty handy man to have on the bench, whether it's a blood replacement or not, Reggie.
Yeah, they'll certainly strengthen up the scrum from a Leinster point of view, and you know, he's quite a good man to have in there if they want to get a driving maul going as well. So I'd say Leinster could well compete on this lineup with Leo Cullen here.
Ulster got to get the call right and the throw right and the lifting right, and they have done. Good take at the front by big Lewis Stevenson. Leinster making life difficult for Ulster. Marshall. Good chase by Trimble, who takes Fitzgerald. Sean Doyle is there quickly, likewise Roger Wilson. Now, if Ulster could turn this one over, well, you can speculate all you like, Mr. Neely, but it's from back in the Leinster side. This is Dundon, who's put himself about. Leinster back into Ulster's half. Boss. Gopperth. Lovely little show. Look, Fitzgerald. Not the greatest pass in the world from Jimmy Gopperth. Nothing much Luke Fitzgerald could do about that. And it's going to be a line out.
I'm just quite surprised, Jim, watching Ulster and the type of game that they're playing. I accept that they have the wind in their back at the moment, and there is some quite strong gusts picking up at the moment, but everything they seem to do seems to be about kicking the ball away. They haven't had much possession. We haven't seen their backline even try to test the Leinster backs at any stage. We've seen Marshall kick box kicks. We've seen Paddy Jackson kick some for the corner rather speculatively. I'd like to see them try and put the ball through the hand a little bit, maintain possession, go through some phases, ask some questions of the Leinster backs and indeed the forwards, see if they can get back into defensive line, because at the moment they just seem intent to give the ball back to Leinster at every opportunity.
And when you have a Leinster back three of Kirshner, Carney and Fitzgerald, kicking to them is maybe not the greatest idea. Ulster scrum, 27 minutes almost gone. Down they go. The referee John Lacey will ask them to do it again. Well, a tough
keep your head and shoulders up. Same for the 2v.
Station coming up for Ulster this game, followed by Munster at home, then Montpellier at home in the 5th round of the Heineken Cup, of the 5th pool game, and then the Leicester Tigers, and what a game that's going to be. But Ulster, like Leinster, will be concentrating on matters here at the RDS this evening. And Ulster perhaps fortunate to be on level terms, given the possession that Leinster have had in the territorial advantage and the missed chances. Ulster squeezing forward. Oh, Leinster penalised. That was a little bit unfortunate from an Ulster perspective. I thought it was Ulster were actually squeezing forward there, but John Lacey has given the free kick to Ulster.
He made the well-known duck signal, Jim, whatever that means. I tried to work out if that means they were pushing before the ball came in, or if he was saying that Mike Ross was boring in on an angle, but it was one of the two.
Yeah, I don't think they were steady. I don't think much they were shoving. They just didn't allow the whole thing to be steady.
No, but it was Ulster that were going forward, so it would be difficult to see how he was picking Leinster for driving early, but I don't know. We'll work out the duck signal, the duck hand signal afterwards.
Does that mean he's actually ducking out of any responsibility? Perhaps. Leinster crowd now getting back to full voice again. Scrum settles. Good squeeze by Ulster on their own put-in. Roger Wilson controls. Marshall needs to get it away. Better pass. Trimble comes in. Here's Paddy Jackson. Back inside. Darren Cave gets across the halfway line. Ulster need this quickly. Oh dear, from an Ulster perspective, they've given it away. Holding on the tackle, no need to do that at all. Darren Cave on the ground, having done all the hard work. Sean Doyle in there as well. And every time with Ulster, it's one step forward and 2 steps back. That had the makings of something quite nice there.
Well, for the first time in this game, we saw the Ulster backs move it along the back line. Paddy Jackson gives a good ball outside. Caves comes back on an angle, makes inroads, and then you see O'Brien come straight in. And Doyle is the only player there. There has to be at least 2 other players there with him, whether they be backs who have to come in and clear out that ruck. As I said earlier, we saw Luke Fitzgerald come in on his own and clear out a ruck, but you're leaving Doyle on his own with O'Brien in a bad position to try and clear him away, and no other Ulster support players there. They've got to get there in numbers and assist the man going in with the ball.
Quick line-out ball for Leinster. Here is O'Brien. Herring slows him down. Boss, Gopperth, Brendan Mackin brushes off Luke Marshall. Boss again, better stuff from Leinster. Geordie Murphy. Noel Reid takes it forward. Leinster looking now to press home this advantage yet again. Good work by Rhys Ruddock. Boss. Geordie Murphy. He just hangs on to him by the bootlaces and no more. Boss. Leo Cullen. Tui has been so aggressive in the contact. Boss. Gopperth.
Release 10.
Jackson was been told to release and he does that. Noel Reid trying to dance through as he did about 10 minutes ago or so. Boss, is there an overlap here? Oh, good driving forward by Ruddock. Saw the half gap. Oh, good work by Jack O'Connell. Leinster just to the left of the post, and Ulster giving away the penalty.
Yeah, and the problem there was the crowd are going wild over this, but
6 on his feet.
The players did go in, and there was no scrum half to get that ball away. So the Leinster player brought it back in, and then Robbie Dyke was on his feet, so he was able to get in on the ball quickly. A number of great phases from Leinster. Again, they look so dangerous in these phases and in these build-ups, and they're getting across the gain line at ease. It's just when they get inside the final 10 metres that the errors seem to creep in. But on this ball here, it's placed by O'Connell. The ball is out, and then Dyke gets in on his feet, and there's nothing wrong with that. He comes in from through the gate, as they call it, around the back. There's no support player, there's no line there to clear that ball away, and Robbie Dyke just comes through the middle, steps over and takes it. So the crowd might not like it, but it's a correct call.
Well, about 8.5 minutes to go to the interval, and although they'll be facing the wind in the second half, if Ulster can survive this, they'll be very happy. Marshall, Jackson had to check a little bit. Little crossfield kick by Jackson for Craig Gilroy to chase. A wonderful gather in there by Dave Carney. Roger Wilson in quickly for Ulster, but Leinster have it. No scrum half. Now they've got one. Taken on by Jordy Murphy. He gives away the penalty.
18 side entry.
And this, I would think, is within range for Paddy Jackson.
18 side entry.
But certainly with the wind behind him, he's probably the difficulty won't be the distance, that's for sure. It'll be more about trying to keep the direction right with that strong gusting wind that's out on the pitch. Mike Ross was penalised there for side entry. It was an instant call by John Lacey. Great take from Carney as well over there from the kick from Jackson. But again, just, you know, I know they've gotten themselves into a position and gotten a penalty, but it just seems to me that, again, they're so easy to kick that ball away and just try and hope that they'll force an error from Leinster, which doesn't tend to happen too often.
Yeah, no problem.
Penny for Mark Anscombe's thoughts, I suspect.
I get the ARs to watch it, okay?
Well, he'll be thinking better things if Paddy Jackson can nail this one. He opened the scoring for Ulster after just a minute of this game. We've almost 33 minutes played, and Jackson has another chance, and he struck that nicely. That's a very good kick by Paddy Jackson, and against all the odds and against the territorial advantage and possession, Ulster have managed to get themselves back in the league again. But what a very good kick by Paddy Jackson, Reggie.
Incredible kick. As I said, there's gusting winds out there. We've had unbelievably bad weather around Dublin for the last 2 days, and the wind has been the main feature of it, and it's still here tonight, although it's dry, but there is really strong, it's in his back, but it's blowing from sort of right to left, so we have to judge that and swing it around on the breeze.
Well, taken in by Ulster, and a good kick to touch, and that was nicely done by Darren Cave.
It's quite hard to believe that Ulster are in the lead in this game, 6-3 after almost 34 minutes gone. All possession has been Leinster's way. They look like the team that are running the ball and moving it and breaking gain lines at ease, yet they can't manage to get themselves into a position to get the score. Granted, they've missed 2 very kickable penalties from Gopperth, which is unusual for him, but Ulster can't continue to sustain this kind of pressure, though. They've got to try and start putting pressure back on Leinster.
That didn't look altogether straight, but it's gathered in by Rob Herring for Ulster. Marshall, Jackson, look Marshall. That may go straight into touch. And it has. Dear, oh dear, that wasn't a very good kick by Luke Marshall. He'll know that himself.
Yeah, we got it.
Now capped 4 times by Ireland. First against Scotland in last season's Six Nations, and most recently against the Australians. Leo Cullen just barking instructions at his pack. They've certainly done their bit.
I can only assume, Jim, that the message from Mark Anscombe in the first half was with that win, kick for territory, get ourselves down into the Leinster half as much as possible. But those kicks are not working out at present.
Good challenge by Ulster on the Leinster throw, but the home side had won it. Gopperth. Oh, he's got O'Brien. He burst across that all-important gain line. The referee's having a good look, and that was always going to come. That's going to be a yellow card because Robbie Dyak's side have been warned and into the bin. Goes Ulster's open side, Sean Doyle. Well, killing it once too often on the ground, and that's not going to help Ulster's cause at all, because he'll miss the last 5 minutes or so of this half and the first of the second, and Leinster must get something out of this. Well, the tackle by Doyle on O'Brien was quite good, and then he lay there. Well, what do you think, Reggie? Right call?
It's pretty quick, you know. I mean, he holds on for a couple of seconds at the beginning, and then the Leinster boys give him a bit of a doing, shoo him out of there to highlight the fact that he's lying there. And I think, you know, he had been warned, and I think maybe John Lacey's just trying to lay down a marker. So you could call it harsh, but I mean, he had been warned up to that point, so it's a difficult one.
Over the top by Leinster, gathered in by Luke Fitzgerald, who's been a live wire. Oh, out of the back of the hand of Jordy Murphy. Oh, Murphy's got over in the corner, I think. Referee's going to have to go upstairs. The touch judge's flag is not up, and it's Luke Fitzgerald, who's been the tormentor of Ulster on so many occasions, has set up which looks like a try to the number 8 Jordy Murphy. And with Ulster down to 14 men, Leinster have struck.
Yeah, we'd like to check the last pass in the grounding, please.
I didn't see any problem with the grounding, but I just wonder about the pass from Luke Fitzgerald to Jordy Murphy just as he got it away. Did it go slightly forward? That can be the only thing that I could see that might have gone wrong with that. Brilliant power from Jordy Murphy. Very little space to work with. It's this pass here. It's out the back door. The motion looked backwards. I don't think there'll be any problem. The only foot I could see going towards the touchline was the Ulster foot. We'll get another look at it here. That's out the back. That pass is fine. There's no problem there. And then it's just looking to see where the feet go. I don't see any problem. I imagine that'll be a try.
Well, Murphy reckons he's got his 5th league try.
John, I have a decision.
Yes.
You may award the try.
Sean Flannery. Try is good. And Leinster in the lead for the first time in this game. Right on half-time, with Ulster short-handed. Leinster have punished them.
And again, Jim, it came from nothing. A ball got popped up to Luke Fitzgerald. He stepped one way then the other and found 5 meters from pretty much no space whatsoever. Got through a half tackle from Ulster and still managed to offload the ball. Great support play from Jordy Murphy and a brilliant finish and great power.
Gopperth, as he brought that one in. Oh, that's a lovely kick by Gopperth. His best of the evening. And having been 6-3 down a couple of minutes ago, with 3 minutes to go to the interval, Leinster have taken the lead for the first time, most emphatically. The loose ball, and Luke Fitzgerald set off, brushed aside the tackle of Paul Marshall, and away out the back of the hand, and Andrew Trimble did his best, but Jordy Murphy was too strong.
Well, Jim, that try just highlighted exactly what Ulster's problem has been tonight. The players are falling off tackles. They're going in the position to make the tackle, but they're only half making an effort at it, and they're being brushed aside far too easily. And we've seen that on a number of occasions during this game so far. Also, they're down a player. The intensity level steps up straight away from Leinster. They look to move and run everything, and they're going to struggle for this 10-minute period with 14 players, and they'll do well to keep it to just 10-6.
Well, that's the first try Ulster conceded in 4 games of rugby, albeit the last 3 matches have been against Italian opposition. Ulster will be determined not to concede anything further before half-time. 2 minutes to go. Leinster's scrummage. Isaac Boss. Good Leinster scrum. Leinster looking to force the penalty. Boss picks it up nicely. Noel Reid's been so aggressive in the middle of the park. Boss again. Those blue-shirted forwards really have taken on their opposition with a vengeance. Here's Gopperth. Nicely done, Kirshner. Little show, great tackle by Darren Cave, who's had a very good season. Ulster looking to affect the turnover, and they haven't got it, but they forced the scrum. Well, it's going to be a Leinster scrum. Since the ball was on the ground, the ruck had formed, and Leinster were moving forward, and they'll get the put in. Is there time for another Leinster score, do we hear?
Well, they can certainly move off this scrum. In fact, Andrew Trimble went in and got that ball when it went down on the ground, and he picked it up and he had total possession of the ball and fell back on his back, and the touch judge was right there in front of him. I actually thought he was driven into touch and that it was a line out to Leinster, but referees couldn't see it, and the touch judge, who was all of 2 meters away, couldn't make any call on it either.
Crouch.
Into the last minute of this pulsating first half. All the possession All the territorial advantage to the men in blue, who are leading surprisingly by just 10 points to 6. Good Leinster scrum. Paul Marshall has to stay on side, and the referee says, no, that's come up. Nobody's fault. He'll ask them to do it again, but the clock will tick away, which would be in Ulster's favour. There's Jordy Murphy.
Look at the difference, Jim. Ulster down to 7 men in that scrum, and all of a sudden Declan Fitzpatrick up against Jack O'Connell. He'd been in complete control up to that point, and now he's struggling because the same power isn't there. 8 against 7. These are the small details that all add up when you lose a player to the bin, and why it's so important to keep your discipline in these games.
Well, they say when the opposition is down to 14 men, you should be scoring anything between 6 and 10 points. Leinster have got 7 since Sean Doyle was binned some 5 minutes ago. This is the last set piece of this first half. It's a better scrum by Ulster on the opposition put in. Murphy, Boss, Goffrith has a go himself. Good tackle by Jackson. Goffrith gets it away though. Luke Fitzgerald. He's showing some great aggression, Luke Fitzgerald. Good tackle by Luke Marshall, his namesake. Boss. Dundon makes good ground. Seemed to be knocked forward. Here it comes again. Rhys Ruddock. Clever pass out wide. Leinster on the attack. This is Zane Kirshner. Isaac Boss struggles to get it away. Crowd claiming Craig Gilroy was interfering illegally, but not so. O'Connell gets himself tackled by Rob Herring. They need a scrum half. They've got it. Goffrith, little flat pass.
And away,
once again, Ulster's defence is pretty bone-crushingly accurate. Good grind made yet again by Leinster, and as ever, Bosses waiting to get this ball away, and he does that. Tries the narrow side. Lewis Stevenson is in there. He's got to get himself out of the way. Boss again. Rhys Ruddock, who's been very busy, tackled by Herring. Boss again has to winkle it out himself. Gopperth. Oh, that's nicely done. Lovely weight in that ball. Great chance now. Sean O'Brien has a go himself. Tries to get it round the back of Ricky Andrew, but it's knocked forward. Into touch it goes, and that should be half-time. And Ulster have got away with that. What a great piece of pressure right at the end, with Leinster looking for the second try within 6 or 7 minutes. What an end of the first half. Crucially, Leinster got the try when Ulster were depleted.
Yeah, and that's what it's, they took advantage of the extra man. But to be fair, Jim, Leinster have looked strong the whole way through this game in terms of their intensity. They've been looking to run the ball. Their passing has been crisp. Delayed runners coming into the line. They're finding gaps, and they're just, breaking down the Ulster defence way too easily. They've got the wind in the second half, the breeze at their back. Imagine they'll play a little bit of territory with that. Ulster could be in for quite a tough second half.
Well, it was heading for an Ulster lead at the interval. 2 Paddy Jackson penalties, the one by Jimmy Goffrith, who had missed a couple, put Ulster 6-3 up. But Sean Doyle was sent to the bin, and with 4 minutes of the first half remaining, Jordy Murphy got over in the corner, and Goffrith landed a very good conversion. Still all to play for. It's going to be tough for Ulster, not for the first time here at the RDS. Both sides back on the park. Leo Cullen leads his Leinster side out. Luke Marshall, as the chaps in the studio were saying, has a precious little to do. Dave Conley certainly relishing now being a fully fledged Irish international, and has been very involved in this game. But it's been a blue night here at the RDS so far. Jimmy Goffrith, who had his kicking boots on all the way through that first half, probably may well have increased that Leinster lead. It's a lead of only 4 points. Try by Jordy Murphy, a conversion and a penalty by Goffrith to 2 Paddy Jackson tries, so 10-6, the champions lead. Ulster have only won once here in the last 14 years or so. Left for Paddy Jackson. Strength of that win very obvious. That's a good kick by Jackson, and Zane Kirshner thought about a quick one and changed his mind. And the wind, if anything, Reg, just going by the touch judge on the near side, his flag, Eddie Hagan O'Connell, I should say. It's a breeze has picked up a wee bit, maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of gusting, it comes and it dies down there for a little while, and then it picks up again, so it's a tricky one to try and deal with.
Back in the Leinster side, Gopperth, Brendan Mackin, well tackled Boss. Boss again, Ball has gone loose. This is Jimmy Gopperth.
Ball's out.
Referee said the ball was out. Lewis Stevenson made a good challenge.
Ball.
Now have Ulster managed to turn that one over?
Ball, turn over.
They have, yep. Good work by Ulster. Sean Doyle still in the bin.
Yeah, great work, and this is a crucial period, this last 5 minutes of the bin that's left with Doyle in there. They've really just got to try and contain the Leinster attack and try and maintain the possession while they have it, and then get their full contingent of players back onto the pitch. But certainly in this second half, we would hope to see that the Ulster team would take this game to the Leinster players a little bit more than they did in the first half. We didn't see any real attacks from the back line. The one attack that they did made was broken down in midfield very quickly and dealt with by Leinster. So certainly Ulster need to try and maintain possession and try and put some phases together and some periods of attack together.
Scrum didn't look altogether straight. Paul Marshall's got it in. Great squeeze by Leinster. Well away by Marshall. Paddy Jackson. Craig Gilroy. Cross halfway. Well, Leinster disrupted the breakdown. Marshall couldn't get it away. Well, great steal by Leinster. Not the right time to kick, I suspect. And Jackson lets it go into touch. Don't quite know why Leinster kicked that, Reggie.
Noel Reid threw his eyes to heaven the moment he put his foot to the to that ball, and it screwed off the outside. I know the coaching staff in Leinster would never have ordered that one. You know, they've just got a great turnover ball by Sean O'Brien. 2 quick passes away from the contact area. They had players out here. Dave Carney was waiting and lurking on the wings to try and get his hands on that ball. So a good attack, somewhat botched there by Leinster.
Rob Herring. Ulster shortened the line out to 5 men. Good take by Robbie Dyack. Possession was, or rather lack of it, was Ulster's problem in the first half. Penalty against Leinster, coming in at the side. Might well have been Leo Cullen.
Offside preventing the support. 4 in the side. Line-out wasn't over. It
was indeed Leo Cullen. Referee saying the line-out wasn't over, and Leinster's skipper has given away the penalty. Jackson into a stiffish breeze. Solid kick by Ulster's young outside half.
Interesting enough interpretation by John Lacey, because you know, once the player hit the ground, it's up to the support players, the blockers on either side, to make sure that there's no way for Cullen to get in around there, and he just came in through the side because the blocker wasn't there. But Lacey said that it was a side entry, and that's the reason that the penalty was given. Sean O'Brien was in his ear the whole time. I don't know if you could hear him. We could hear him up here at the back of the stand screaming at John Lacey to give a penalty for them all being held up.
Well, Ulster lose yet another line out. Sean Doyle is back on the field. Handed off by his namesake Sean O'Brien. Ferocious straight arm, quite legal. There's nobody underneath that for Ulster. Trimble hesitated. And Leinster have regained possession. Brendan Mackin got in now.
Yeah, it's fine.
Well, it's a poor Ulster performance at this stage of the game. Jody Murphy, the try scorer. Tui tried to strip the ball away from him. Boss. Gopperth saw the path was blocked. Ricky Andrew knocks it back into the path of Andrew Trimble. Marshall. Jackson, well away. Roger Wilson. Back inside to Tui, who took it well.
Rock!
Jackson. Look, Marshall. Dangerous stuff by Ulster. They managed to keep possession. Andrew Trimble goes to ground. Jackson. Callum Black. Well presented by the loose head. Better stuff this now from Ulster. Lewis Stevenson makes a yard or two. Marshall. Tui. Got it away.
It's off his feet now.
For Marshall. Dyack. Awful pass by Ulster's captain. Well, a good bit of continuity there by Ulster, but it came to nothing.
Well, as I said, you know, the first part of that was terrible. We saw a kick from Leinster that Andrew Trimble just didn't deal with, or somebody didn't go to claim, and that was the urgency we said they needed. And then they managed to get possession back from that, and they went through at least 5-6 phases of play where suddenly they were asking questions of the Leinster defence. It's the first time we'd seen it, and then it was just one missed pass at the end by Dyke that was just too far in front of the support player. But you know, for Ulster to have any chance in this game against Leinster, that's what they need to do more of. They've got to try and keep possession, go through some phases, and let's see what the Leinster defence can deal with.
Well, Leinster won the line out with ease, but Ulster got into their faces pretty quickly. Gopperth. It's another nasty, testing, teasing ball. Brilliantly taken by Craig Gilroy. Tui went off his feet. I thought for a minute John Lacey was reaching for another card.
He certainly could have, Jim. We'll hear what he says.
There's a flag out there for foul play, I think. Penalty against Dan Tui for illegal use of the shoulder, it seems.
Yeah, well, John Lacey dealt with that himself. The flag was out from the touch judge. There's no doubt Leo Cullen was on the ground, you know, and I'm not sure who came in, but there's no doubt that that's a swinging arm with intent to try and take the player out. Could easily have been another card for Ulster there. Perilous play.
Yes, I think John Lacey was pretty kind to Dan Tui there. And Leinster, having survived a little bit of Ulster pressure, are now in exactly the part of the field that they want to be. Well, he's had a word with Dan Tui. Leinster on the visiting 22, Aaron Dundon, whose darts have been spot on this evening. Masterful stuff from the great veteran Leo Cullen. A great servant he's been, particularly to Leinster rugby. 3 times he's lifted the Heineken Cup. It's a feat nobody else can claim. Taken on by Murphy, the try scorer. Boss gets it away. Rhys Ruddock, well tackled by Declan Fitzpatrick. Boss again. Gopperth nearly got through. Darren Cave offside. I think the touch judge in the near side called it, because I can hear John Lacey saying 13, is it? Offside. And Darren Cave has given away a penalty in a more than kickable position, and this is exactly what Leinster would have wanted, to start the second half with more points, just to stretch it a little bit.
Yeah, it's great play from Leinster. They're going through phase after phase, asking questions of the defence. There's support players there all of the time. Gopperth is going to the line. He's probing, he's just checking how solid the defensive line is, and even if he does get tackled, he's managing to get in behind, and the support players are there, and that's the difference. There's huge numbers of support players there all the time to recycle that ball and give quick Leinster ball all of the time. And you know, you just have to say that the Ulster, like I use this word urgency, but their intent just isn't there at the moment. They just seem to be standing off and allowing Leinster to play rugby, which is exactly the opposite of what you want to do in the RDS.
Well, there's 1 or 2 Ulster players we've hardly actually mentioned, or they've been very quiet this evening. Here was Gopperth, who landed a penalty and a conversion in the first half and missed 2 penalties, so 2 out of 4, a 50% success rate. Hoping to up that with this fairly straightforward effort, it would seem. And much to the delight of the home crowd, he's landed that one. And Leinster now 7 points ahead. Ulster still in losing bonus point range. Ulster making a couple of replacements. Jared Payne is coming on. Ruan Pinar is coming on. So Ulster wheel out the big guns, Reggie.
Yeah, it was inevitable, really. I mean, Ulster now, this is a crucial stage in this game. They've got to get themselves back into this match, try and get some possession. They've pretty much gone through the whole of this game with about 10-15% possession in the whole match. They've now got to, you know, throw caution to the wind somewhat, bring in their big guns, as they say, and try and play a bit of rugby and test this Leinster team, because we haven't seen any of it yet.
Here is Jared Payne. He said to Roger Wilson, go outside me. Oh, look at this from Payne. What a start.
Rock.
Will the talented New Zealander be the spark for an Ulster revival? They brought the penalty. Well, you know, like all New Zealanders, whether you're an All Black or an All Black under 20 player, sevens player, as Jared Payne is, they seem to read space so well.
Well, what he's brought straight away is some intensity, you know, some intent to run at the Leinster defenders and ask questions of their tackling ability. He just took a simple step off his left foot back inside, and you know, he made 20 metres. You just see him gathering the ball here. He's talking to the players around him, steps right, and then steps left there brilliantly back inside, makes good ground, keeps the ball, recycles it. Leinster players were in, they were contesting the ball, but Lacey clearly told them to get their hands off, and they didn't, and they gave away the penalty.
Better line out by Ulster. Robbie Dyack brings it in. Leinster not committing all their forwards. Pienaar, lovely pass. Jackson has a little go himself, gets up to the 22. Good work by Sean Doyle on the ground. Lewis Stevenson needs to keep possession. Second row's done well. Pienaar knocked forward by Leinster. Don't think it was deliberate. I think the interception was attempted, and just a scrum to Ulster.
Yeah, and while all that was going on, Paddy Jackson and Darren Cave were getting to know Sean O'Brien on the ground back here in a little bit of a tussle just after the attack. Better play from Ulster. Again, we see a bit more urgency about it. They're going forward, carrying the ball well. Some good forward runners with a bit of power going in, recycling some quick ball, giving the back some opportunity to ask questions to the defensive line. A little bit more of what we expected from Ulster.
Ian Healy, crouch. Christmas beanie, one suspect. Ruben Pienaar towering over Isaac Voss, who's not a small man, but you know, he's nearly 6'2" tall. Good Ulster scrum on their own put-in. Roger Wilson controls nicely. Jackson, Luke Marshall, inside the Cave, tries to get across the gain line. Pienaar away quickly. Here's Dyack. Good tackle by Geordie Murphy. Pienaar, bit of zip. Jackson, Jared Payne. Oh, whipcord-like strength by Jared Payne, and huge determination by the talented import. Pienaar, better stuff from Ulster. Dyack had to check. It's Leinster's turn to defend, as Ulster did for most of the first half. Leinster went down injured. Pienaar, Cave, moves it wide. There's Sean Doyle. He's still going, needs to set it up. He has done. Pienaar. Marshall's knocked it forward. Referee's playing advantage.
Advantage over.
And the advantage is over, and Ulster will get the line out, but Leinster have a man down injured.
Yeah, that was a let off there for Leinster. They really have to absorb the pressure. Some really good recycling, good running. Tell you, Jared Payne, since he's come on, he's made some impression. He's running with real force and direction. Again, Pienaar just runs across there, asks some questions of the defensive line. That was a good ball outside to Sean Doyle as well. Obviously, he didn't have the pace to finish it, but just a mistake just at the end from Luke Marshall as he comes in on the ball at real pace. If he had managed to hold on to that, he was coming back on a good angle against, I think it was Jimmy Goffert, so it would have been interesting to see how that tackle would have ended up. But there seems to be a pretty serious injury now to Leinster as well, so...
Oh dear,
it's Sean
O'Brien, and irrespective of where your loyalties lie, when you see somebody who's crucial to Ireland with the Six Nations coming up, you certainly don't want to see that. It looks like his shoulder.
It's not good. It doesn't look good
at all. His left shoulder, I think.
He's in serious pain there. This is terrible to see Sean O'Brien going off here. I mean, he's known as the Tullow Tank. Nothing stops him, but he is in serious pain going off there. He knows himself there's a lot of damage done, and this is a massive blow to Leinster for the rest of the season. We hope it's not too serious an injury, but it certainly doesn't look too great going off there.
2 meters outside here.
And Leinster, of course, although they've lost the game, they're still very much in control of their Heineken Cup group.
Here's the mark. Here's the mark.
Dominic Ryan has come on for Leinster. Rob Herring at the back of the line-out. Or throwing to the back of the line, goes to the middle, in fact. Pienaar, good flat pass. This time Marshall does take it, and this time he gets across the gain line. Still going forward, Marshall. Good work by the strongly built centre.
Stay on your feet, 4.
Callum Black. Dan Toohey.
Hands away now.
Ulster really pressing. Pienaar. Jared Payne. He's caused a lot of problems since he came on at the start of the second half. We played 14 minutes and Ulster give away the penalty.
Holding.
Well, apologies if you heard that little bit of industrial language here. Jared Payne going forward once again, and there was the ball. And I think it might have been Sean Doyle was the man who gave away the penalty. And Leinster under a lot of pressure. Ulster have a man down. It's Luke Marshall. Hope it's nothing too serious, but our sympathies with Sean O'Brien, needless to say. Luke Marshall is just holding a knee. Bit of ice on straight away, it seems.
Yeah. Use the line, boys.
Leinster did very well there, Jim. Great defensive lines organised, good aggression, going in, slowing down the ball again. When Ulster really seemed to be in the ascendancy there, it would be a real psychological blow to the rest of the Leinster team, Sean O'Brien going off like that, you know. So they defended very well there and managed to get themselves out of that. That didn't look like a straight line out to me. But
yeah, but the referee was in a very bad position. He was well on the Leinster side, so he couldn't have seen whether it was straight or not. Gopperth slips inside Robbie Dyack. Leinster on the front foot. Ryan really bounced Darren Cave, who's got up and back in position again, to be fair to him.
Okay. Advantage.
Taken on by McCarthy. And Sean Doyle's given away another penalty. Back on the Ulster side, and the referee's going to come back for the kick to Leinster. And it is another kickable penalty.
Yeah,
and having done so much hard work, Ulster have given away what could well be 3 very cheap points.
Well, it's certainly a very kickable penalty for Jimmy Gopperth in the position, and
yes,
with his 7 distance.
Never
But 7
onside,
again,
okay.
Doyle. You know, he's been. That's what 7s do. They live on the edge, but he's already been in the bin. And you know, again, another penalty from a situation where Ulster were in attack. Leinster dealt with it very, very well in defence, got themselves out of their own 22. And the difference is they get down the pitch, they turn it into a kicking opportunity and a chance to get more scores on the board, and just keep edging themselves away from the Ulster players. When it looked like Ulster might be the ones who get the next score, now there could easily be a 10-point gap in the game.
Well, we played 16 minutes in the second half, coming up to the end of the third quarter, and Leinster 6-3 adrift with 33 minutes of the first half gone. Now 13-6 up, 10 points without reply. Is it going to be 13 points without reply? It's a bit longish for Gopperth, but the wind's behind him. He's stuck it nicely, and he's stuck it truly. And a 10-point gap has appeared. So Ulster, if it stays like this, will be coming away empty-handed. Another penalty given away cheaply and unnecessarily, and Luke Marshall is going off, and I think Michael Allen will be the man who's going to come on.
Give me a sec, lads, okay? Time off.
Bit of a bang to the knee, and with
Bring him on, please.
well, the Heineken Cup coming up in a couple of weeks' time, never mind Munster next week. Also don't want to be losing Luke Marshall. Paddy Wallace, just a little problem, I think, with a quadricep muscle, having made such a good return, is injured at the moment, maybe off for a couple of weeks. So Ulster a little bit light in the inside centre position. So Michael Allen is on, taken in by Dave Carney, gets away from too many Ulstermen too easily. Boss. Payne. What a player this fellow is. Strong enough to get the ball back despite the attention of a second row forward. Here's Robbie Dyack, needs to really marshal his troops now.
Keep moving.
Bit in the slow side for Ulster. Pienaar does well. Jackson looks for a big forward to support him, and he's found a big forward. Ball is being mauled. Ulster trying to drive forward. Leinster will get the put into the scrum, and that's great defensive play by the men in blue.
Very good work from Leinster. They managed to get in, and that's what they do brilliantly. If there's even a sniff of a chance of keeping a player up off the ground and forcing that turnover ball for a maul carried in, they're in around, surrounding the player in numbers, and they did it brilliantly there. Jackson kind of ran out of space. He managed to offload the ball. I think it was to Stevenson here, and you just see, look at Rullock, the power that he uses there to hold him up in the air, and then the rest of his teammates come in and swarm around that ball, and that's what they do brilliantly.
Well, Rhys Rullock capped just once for Ireland. An example of just what the strength and depth of Irish back row forward play is. Tom Court has come on for Ulster. Callum Black has gone off. Leinster likewise have made a change in the front row.
Here we go, lads. Still here.
Jack McGrath's come on.
Let's get our minds right now, lads. Both of you here. Crouch!
Coming up to the end of the third quarter. Almost 19 minutes played. Ulster squeezing forward. They need to just steady themselves. Boss pops it in. Ulster with Tom Court at loose head get a good squeeze on. Boss managed to get it away under a bit of pressure. Trimble goes back. Well gathered. Finds. Oh! Did he knock that forward? He did. Well, that's not a sight you'll see every day, or even every week, or even every season. Jared Payne knocking the ball on.
The first mistake he's made since he's come on, and he's made such a huge impression since he's come onto the pitch. But this is just such a simple thing to deal with. You know, Trimble had plenty of time. Pass goes out to Jared Payne. No fault of Trimble's pass. He just took his eye off the ball. Payne at the last moment, plenty of time to clear their lines, and now they find themselves in a scrum situation under pressure just inside their own 22. I'd have to say in the last scrum, Tom Court really did have a go at Martin Moore. Strong scrum from Ulster. They're going to need another strong scrum here to try and put some pressure on the back row of Leinster and force them to stay down.
20 minutes remaining. Leinster leading by 10 points. And what a position they're in. They've split their forces behind the scrum. Equal numbers on either side. Kirshner directly behind in the outside half position. Good strong Leinster scrum. Getting a bit of a shove on. Referee's got the hand out for the penalty. And Leinster have dominated that scrum. Tom Court, I think, the man penalised for taking it down.
It was an excellent scrum from Leinster. Marty Moore on the right-hand side. A real great prospect for the future. Marty Moore, a tight head prop there. He'd been under some pressure in the last one. He locks this one down, and then the force comes in through the second row with the back row, driving it forward. A great scrum from Leinster, and wins them a penalty ultimately right in front of the sticks. And again, another 3 points on the offering.
Well, this is the easiest kick of the evening. This to put 13 clear points between the two sides, leaving Ulster to get 2 converted tries to win this game, and that's going to be, I think, beyond them. Who knows? Gopworth missed 2 in the first half, hasn't missed anything in the second half, and all of a sudden it's looking a lot more comfortable for the reigning champions against the side they defeated in last year's final. 62 minutes almost played. Leinster 19 and Ulster 6.
Amazing the way games swing, Jim. We were in a situation where Ulster were pressuring the Leinster line, and just for that Luke Marshall knock on, the ball was turned over at that point. But from then on, Leinster just went back down the pitch, and they've managed to score 6 points from a situation where they could have well found themselves conceding a score.
That's an interesting crossfield kick, and Andrew Trimble has done well, I think, to hang on to it. And he's maybe just set it up. There's a Leinster man. Brendan Mackin came in illegally, I thought. Pienaar gets it away, came off an Ulster player. Rob Herring.
Hands away, Blue! Release 5!
Payne at outside half. Taken by Jackson. Good little thrust by Ulster's number 10. Pienaar away quickly. Made a big difference in the second half. Lewis Stevenson. Leinster trying to hold him off the ground. Great work by McCarthy. If the ball is on the ground, it's an Ulster scrum, but the ball is off the ground and it's a Leinster scrum. And that's the second time, at least in this half, that Leinster have affected that choke tackle so well.
Yeah, well, if you're going to run in high in that position with the ball exposed, you can't expect there to be any other outcome. That's what Leinster do brilliantly. They've got 2 players lined up. They're waiting for that opportunity, and if you don't drop your hip height, your body height, and your shoulder as you go into contact, get yourself into a position, you're always going to be held up and you're always going to be turned over. And it's just too soft from an Ulster point of view.
Just angles both these guys, please.
John Lacey is asking his fellow Munsterman Peter Fitzgibbon, the touch judge in the far side, just to have a look to see what the respective props are doing on the side of the scrum. Where Isaac Voss is standing, he just had a little glance to see where Jimmy Gopworth is. Assuming his front row will hook the ball. Here it goes, Ulster trying to get the squeeze on. Leinster whip that one round. And Ulster been penalised for that. Well, Tom Court driving forward, and the man on the tight head side pulling round, and that's an illegal movement and gives Leinster the chance to clear the lines. Well, Ulster's error count, Reggie, from set piece and broken play must be huge.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've missed a number of lineouts. The pressure comes on from Ulster, but then, you know, there's just a whip with the tight head side being pulled back around from the Ulster point of view, and Tom Court steps around the corner. It's always difficult to see if that is actually what's happening, but when it's as quick as that, the referee's left with little choice. It probably would have been better just to stay down, keep a square scrum, and try and get the defensive line organised.
Here's Dundon, who's been excellent. Ulster has stolen that, but it's gone straight back into touch. And Ulster look as if they're going to get the line out. Came off a Leinster hand, so good work at the line out by Ulster. First serious disruption of a Leinster line out. Time is not on Ulster's side, just over 15 minutes remaining, and they're 13 points adrift. And as it stands, Leinster will go into second place in the league behind Munster, and Ulster will drop from 4th to 5th. Last year Ulster lost 4 games and drew 1. This could be a 4th defeat this season. Quicker ball, but not good ball for Ruan Pienaar. But he does manage to get away, and Luke Fitzgerald does it. Jaron Payne and knocks it forward. And a cold night, cold hands, and when you haven't been doing much for 20 minutes, all of a sudden the ball comes to you and you think, what is this funny sort of oval-shaped white thing in my direction?
Well, even trying to pick up the microphones here at times is difficult, Jim. So I was actually just going to say that the cold definitely must be starting to affect those wingers and those outside backs, because they're in and out of play sporadically. And having said that, you know, it's not a mistake that should be made at this level.
Leinster are making another change in the front row. Marty Moore, who's played well, has gone off the field. And Mike Ross has come on, and looks like Ian Madigan has come on, and I think they're taking Noel Reid off, so Ian Madigan will move into the inside centre position, and that sort of versatility is what's earning him a place on the matchday squad for Ireland, Reg, isn't it?
Absolutely, and it also adds a huge dimension to the Leinster threat and the Leinster attack. Madigan, you know, they've been having difficulty enough in the centre trying to marshal the defensive line from an Ulster point of view. Madigan just adds that extra level of threat.
Mike McComish looks as if he may well be coming on for Ulster. Scrum collapses untidily. Referees penalise Leinster, but playing advantage. Here's Michael Allen. All strength and aggression, he's done well. Pienaar. Tui a bit upright, but the referee will bring them back for the original penalty. Well, Ulster should really go into the corner from this, shouldn't they?
Well, if they have any ambitions of winning this game, they certainly need to put themselves into a position where they might be able to organise a maul closer to the Leinster line, because you know, there's reason for picking off the points as well, but this is by no means a certain kick. So I think at this stage, with 15 minutes left in the game, certainly a kick to the corner and a maul is the best option.
And a pretty decent kick to the corner. Leinster have changed their hooker. The academy player James Tracy, who I think in reality, Reggie, you would know more than I, as a prop forward, he's come on.
Yeah, he's always played there, and they're obviously trying to convert him into a hooker as well and have that extra option there. So we'll see how the lineouts go.
Referee plays advantage. He was knocked forward by Leinster. Ulster lucky to get away with that. Paddy Jackson's been smothered, and Ulster will get the scrummage.
Good competing at the lineout from Leinster there. They got bodies in the air and forced the error. It was just knocked on. Again, if it had been picked up, it would have been hard to stop Leinster finding themselves all the way down the pitch. But here we'll see Tracy going in at hooker now, so we'll see how he holds up in this scrum.
Well, Leinster have changed their entire front row now. Stevenson got the hand to it first. Tracy came round the back of the line and just knocked it forward. Good piece of competing by the youngster.
Yeah, they're the errors we've seen so much of, though, Jim, in this game. Like, I mean, there's been at least 3-4 lineouts that have just not been precise. I mean, there wasn't actually a player opposite him. There's no need to put any extra height on the ball, and just get the player up early, make sure you gain possession of it and get it, and that just hasn't been the case tonight.
Stand up, boys, stand up.
Lewis Stevenson has gone off the field, and Neil McComb, the biggest player in terms of height and probably weight in the Ulster squad, has come on to add a bit of ballast to the Ulster second row, packing down beside Dan Tui. He's wearing number 19. Just over 12 minutes remaining, 13 points between the sides.
Bind! Set!
Ruan Pienaar for Ulster. Also just nudging forward. Referee says, go on, get it in, and he does get it in. But down it goes yet again. So I watched the Munster-Connacht game last night, Reggie, and there was a lot of nonsense going on in the front row, particularly when you start making replacements and guys come on and they're just vying for position and vying for grip and vying for pressure.
Well, the new rules are supposed to alleviate all that now with the clear calls. You're supposed to bind before you go in, and it's got to be a steady scrum. That scrum was moving, and he still told the players to put the ball in. He told Pienaar to put the ball in. It's got to be steady first.
Bind.
Here they go again. Clock still ticks. Yes, 9, he says. Ruan Pienaar obliges. Wilson controls. Pienaar. Trimble. Pienaar again. Quicker ball. Dyack. Well, he's on his own. Needs a bit of help.
No.
Ulster trying to stay on their feet. Good pass. Jackson. Michael Allen. Gets across that gain line. Pienaar again. Ulster pressing. Here comes Dyack. Good work by Leinster in defence. The great Leo Cullen was in there too. Gerald Payne. Jackson. Little handoff by Ulster. Standoff.
Rock.
Mike McComish goes to ground. Rob Herring. Good Leinster defence. Herring penalised for hanging on to the tackle. In fact, it was Mike McComish, I think, might have been penalised.
20 blue arriving.
No, I beg your pardon, Mike McComish. It was 20 blue arrived, but the penalty had been given against Ulster.
Yeah, well, it was great Leinster defence. They went in and got the turnover early, but I have to say it was a bit naive from Ulster. I mean, they've done a lot of very good things, but if you see the last phase of the pass is, the pass comes from Pienaar and it hits the player isolated on his own as he goes in, and there's no support whatsoever anywhere near or around him. You just see that pass there, watch, and in come the Leinster players straight away. They're on the ball, there's no support, nobody to clear it away, and the referee's left with no choice but to make a penalty. There's got to be support players with the ball carrier when they're going into that contact area.
Dara Fanning looks like he's coming on. That again didn't look terribly straight, but it's Geordie Murphy who rescues the situation for Leinster. Gopperth. Brendan Mackin.
And release now.
He's had a pretty good game wearing that number 13 shirt. And also give away yet another penalty.
10, you must release. You never clear release.
Paddy Jackson penalised for not releasing the Leinster ball carrier. Ian Madigan just has a little glance. He'll take instruction from Leo Cullen, but it's going to be Jimmy Gopperth. Referee telling them to hurry up. Gopperth. Oh, what a good kick. Has he found touch? No, he hasn't. Gilroy. Jared Payne. Taken inside the 22. And Payne has kicked quite beautifully. But it will be a Leinster line-out. 8 minutes and a wee bit to go, and 13 points between them. Ricky Lutton is coming on for Ulster, so they've now changed their front row completely. It's Tom Denton, in fact, who has come on for Leinster. Leo Cullen has gone off.
Take it off the line, please.
Oh, taken by Denton. Boss gets it away. Gopperth back inside to Mackin. Well, how did Herring get round the front of that line out and around the back of that line out into the middle of the park? Penalty against Leinster. Ulster don't want to rush this. Plenty of time to be composed. One wonders who's taking over the Leinster captaincy.
20? Yeah. I'll deal with it. Yeah, just stand on.
Calling over.
Michael McComish has obviously put his tuppence worth in verbally, and referee has told him that he will sort it out. So Jackson for the corner. Ulster really must try to get something out of this game.
Well, at this stage, Jim, they're chasing a bonus point. You know, that's what they can hope for at this stage. If they can get the converted try, then they'd be into 13 points, so they would be just within that 6-point gap. So that's what they're thinking at the moment, I'd imagine. They've got to get something out of this game.
Blue, gap!
Referee telling Leinster just to observe the metre space between the respective lineouts. Well taken in by McComb, should say. Darren Cave, tackled by Gopperth. Pinar back inside. Ball was knocked forward by Ulster, and Leinster will get the scrum. Well, desperate times require desperate actions, and unfortunately the pass was pretty desperate.
Yeah, it just flicked up in the air too much. I mean, the idea was good, because, you know, when Pinar runs away from that defensive, from the ruck, the defenders, if they follow him at all and he can get that reverse pass back to a winger or somebody coming in at pace there, it's almost impossible to stop them from that distance. But the pass on that occasion was just forced a little bit too much, and as you said, when you're in desperate times, you're going to try some desperate things, and it just didn't work out. And it's kind of been the story of Ulster's game so far tonight. Everything that they have tried just hasn't worked out.
Well, they got away with a poor performance against the lowly Zebras last week, but a similar performance tonight has been nowhere near good enough to cope with Leinster.
You can't put in a mediocre performance against Leinster in the RDS and expect to come away with anything. Leinster have been clinical. We knew coming into this game they're on the back of 2 defeats. One shock result against Northampton in the Aviva, when they were absolutely expected to win that one, and another defeat last week. So they had to stop the rot, and they certainly came out here with real intent tonight, and there's been some very solid performances from the Leinster players.
Yeah, 4 successive games against Italian opposition is no genuine preparation for a game like this. Here in Dublin 4. Isaac Boss, who saw plenty of action in his 5 years at Ravenhill, just waits. The scrum collapses. It's been a bit of a nonsense since the front rows were replaced on block. Tom Court wearing number 17 in his last season with Ulster, and he's been a great man at Ravenhill, off to ply his professional trade at London Irish.
I'm not going to accept a slip here, no, lads. Get your feet underneath you, get your head and shoulders, get your feet underneath you.
John Lacey is saying that he's not going to accept a slip. In other words, get your feet firm and don't go down to the ground. 2 old rivals.
Bind.
Mike Ross and Tom Court. Boss. Good squeeze by Ulster. Ball was out. Good disruption by Ulster. Now can they capitalise? Leinster told to release the ball. Ulster doing their very best to gain a precious steal. Dyack told to get onside. Everybody in Ulster told to get onside. Boss. Oh, well away by Boss, and Gopperth gets it up into the stratosphere. Hasn't found touch. Here comes Gilroy. Gilroy gets away. He's got Payne with him. Gilroy. Well, he should have given that, to be honest. It's still on for Ulster. But did he butcher a chance? Pinar, Dyack. Good tackle. Pinar. Tui. Bit upright, got it away. Jackson knocked it forward. Well, the chance, I think, was butchered.
That's been the story of the night. You know, Gilroy did everything so well, right up to the point where he should have given the pass out to Jared Payne, and the way Payne had been running tonight, you'd have to think he would have finished it from there. But even at the end there, the force passed away in contact and just gets to the fingertips of Paddy Jackson enough just to knock it on, and it takes all the pressure off Leinster. The whole attack is gone, and that's pretty much the game.
Well, the kick didn't find touch, it found Gilroy, and Gilroy set off like he was a scalded cat, and that was the point. The pass should have been given. Dear me,
there's no question. It's you see it again on the replay. Brilliant footwork, good pace, does everything right, draws Gopperth at the end. He has to come in to make the tackle. As he draws him, that pass has to go left, and there's nobody at home. Jared Payne will be able to go in underneath the post, touch it down, and it would have put them within a bonus point score.
Set.
Well, they would have needed the conversion to get that, but it hasn't happened. 3.5 minutes remaining. Good squeeze by Ulster, and the Leinster put in again. Boss gets tackled by Dyack. Good work by Ulster's captain. Boss has to release. It's back on the Ulster side. Somebody needs to claim it on the ground, and Ulster have been very slow in that application.
On the floor. Scrum white.
But Boss has knocked it forward, and Ulster have the scrum. They need a converted try to get the bonus point.
Well, the scrum has been solid in the last number of scrums, so I mean there's no reason why they can't get themselves a good solid square scrum off this. Maybe a pick and go initially off the base to draw in some of the back defenders, and then get some quick ball away and try and get the back line to find a gap somewhere on the outside.
Jack McGrath and Mike Ross on, like that, you'd think the Leinster scrum would be a little bit stronger too.
Yeah, but there seems to be a little bit of determination in the Ulster scrum, and the last number of them I noticed that they really have been taking on that Leinster scrum and asking questions of it.
It's been Leinster's determination since the kick-off that has seen them, well, through to what looks like being a victory. But can Ulster salvage something? Pienaar takes it well. A little bit of hesitation. Ian Madigan came up well and blocked Darren Cave. Pick up yet again by Ulster. They're about 6 meters from the Leinster line. Pienaar again. Jackson. Oh, did he kick? Here comes Payne. He's dived. Has he got it? Referee's got to go upstairs. Payne had got the only try last week at Ravenel against the Zebra. Has he got a try for Ulster here? And with a conversion to come, that could be crucial.